Know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
Please don't turn me off.
Happy Wednesday. You know what it is. Jill Munroe, you're locked in to KBLA Talk 1580. And this is where we hit all the trending topics and headlines. And it's Wednesday. So, you know, we're going to get all up in the business. That's the segment where we get into leadership and the legends who move culture and currency. We got Damon Haley in the studio today with us, entrepreneur and strategist. He'll be joining me shortly to break it all down in trust. There's a lot to get into tonight. So, you just heard Miss Keri, baby, her song Turnin Me On. That dropped a little decade plus ago. And we're finally getting the tea behind the Beyoncé diss that happened in that song. We're also going to get into Lathan. You know, he's a popular podcaster, formerly of TMZ. He had some commentary on former Vice President Kamala Harris's recent comments about the state of our economy. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And you know, there's a flex happening with Floyd Mayweather that we were all cheering and congratulating him from, but we might need to put a pin in that as some evidence comes forward that things may not be how they seem. But first, you know, before we get into all of that, I got to hit you with a little bit of conversation starters, things you need to be aware of on your timeline that are bubbling up. First of all, Terrence Howard, you know, he is self-proclaimed math genius. Has, so he says, discovered an alternate math system and quantum physics and things way above my knowledge level, per him. And, you know, he says, though, that all you people that are coming for him, he's calling for a duel. He's talking guns, knives, bottles, all of it, because you are not respecting his math. You cannot make this stuff up. Equations aside, Terrence is ready to rumble, so y'all better quit playing with him. He recently put out a post of why he can prove 1 × 1 is 2. So if you're into that, check it out. So, you know, we always talk about all of the new podcasts launching. It's a thing. Everyone is into it. Everyone has something to say. And your guy, LeVar Ball, he said he's healing post-foot amputation and looking for a new hustle. And he's thinking about podcasting. So my question is, are you interested in a podcast from LeVar Ball? We're, you know, some years removed from the hype of Big Baller Brand. And everything is kind of shaked out. He foresaw his 3 sons making it to the league. They did. 2 stuck. 1 is a legitimate prospect. 1 suffered from injuries. Maybe because of him. We don't know. But a lot of people would be interested to hear what LeVar Ball has to say and hear the hype machine start going again. So we'll see if that happens. Also, for you fans of The Chi, Showtime has announced that Felicia Rashad, Wendy Raquel Robinson, and Karuchi Tran will be joining season 7 of the hit series. It's going to be premiering May 16th on demand and streaming on Paramount Plus, as well as Showtime. So make sure that you lock in. Now, coming up when we get into the business, all up in the business, with Damon Haley, we are going to talk about a milestone. Something that, LeBron keeps adding to his crown, man. He keeps adding things and accolades that are further cementing him in a stratosphere all his own, right? That's what's happening here. So we're going to get into his latest collaboration, what that means for his portfolio and legacy, getting all up in his business, plus Miss Keri baby and more. All of that when I don't want to say, because that means, let me back up and slow down. All of that when we come forward. That's what I'm trying to say. So make sure that you're tapped in, get your snacks, get your beverages, because we are getting all up in the business this Wednesday. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Before the fire, Altadena was a real-life Wakanda. A thriving black oasis just 15 miles from downtown Los Angeles. 80% black residents were homeowners, building intergenerational wealth against the odds. It was a hub of black-owned businesses, churches, and cultural institutions. It stood as a symbol of black resilience and economic independence. Then, in a matter of hours, it was gone. The fire tore through homes, swallowed businesses, and left behind a painful void. But was it just an unstoppable act of nature, or was negligence involved? Did officials ignore early warning signs? Were the response efforts delayed or insufficient? What role, if any, did corporate or government failures play? Survivors are demanding answers. Don't miss our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall. The Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting, on Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center, 1081 North Fair Oaks in Pasadena. Join Dominic DePrima, Nee Cordelai Corte, James Farr, Tavis Smiley, and a panel of survivors, community leaders, and experts as we commemorate Day 100 since the wildfires flared up, and we discuss where we go from here. It's KBLA's Eden Altadena Fire, 100 days and counting Town Hall, Wednesday, April 16th, 4 to 6 p.m. at the Robinson Park Recreation Center in Pasadena. Light refreshments to follow. Admission is free, but sign-up is required at our KBLA1580.com website. The first 100 attendees will receive a complimentary air purifier. This is a community call to action, brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and Quinn Emanuel Trial Lawyers. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Bring spring to your door with Target Circle 360. Get all you need for Easter hosting, spring get-togethers, and more with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. From Easter basket goodies to fresh florals, getting everything the same day is easy. Open the Target app and bring the magic of the season to your door with unlimited same-day delivery through Target Circle 360. Visit target.com/circle or the Target app for more details. Subscription required. Same-day delivery is subject to terms. Applies to orders over $35.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So we would like to welcome in for All Up in the Business Wednesdays, strategist, author, entrepreneur, Mr. Damon Haley. Welcome back, DH.
Oh, thank you, Miss Jill Munroe.
Glad to have you in the building. So we're going to start off talking about a topic you are familiar with. You know, the headlines already got social media buzzing. LeBron James is a Barbie. Well, he is a king for Barbie. He's officially the first pro athlete Kenbassador. That's Ken, you know, Barbie's dude. As part of Mattel's new line celebrating modern masculinity. So LeBron's doll rocks, you know, a Letterman's jacket with LJ on the... Yeah, that's what it says. Mm-hmm. He has on an I Promise His School's jacket, some shades, the beard, it's popping, it's glistening. He has on a hat. He took off the hat to see what the hairline situation was looking like. They did him justice. You know, it's fly. Has a little man bag on him. Mm-hmm. And it looks like him. They did a very, very good job with that. And according to Mattel, the collab is about encouraging, you know, men partially to deal with, you know, emotional strength and masculinity, but it's really just how can we extend the brand and tap into other places. We know, you know, guys in the youth, in the back in the day, they weren't to play with dolls. We know things are different now. And if they did have a doll, it was an action figure, not a doll, like G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. But I mean, shout out to LeBron. It's something different. I think that, it's a nice thing. It's $75. It drops in Target on April 14th. So, Damon, what are your thoughts on this business move for LeBron?
I like it. I'm not sure I love it yet, but I like it. I think that, one, LeBron is a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. He's our guy right now, and it's the type of things that our guys do now. You know, to be brutally honest, I think it's a good move. It's nothing that I would share that's bad about this move. Once again, I don't know about the mission, vision, purpose about the male masculinity and all that kind of stuff, but when you talk about just LeBron doing one more thing to be immortalized forever, it's a collectible. I saw it's going to be an undefeated. They're launching it there, so it's more energy around him. So that's a good thing. I think that I've seen some of the social media stuff and some people calling within the industry, not liking it.
Really? What's not to like?
Just traditionalist brand people. Like, I'd be very curious to see how his brand, Rich is Ingenious, right? How's he standing on the masculinity, and how's he standing on this brand extension? Or is just Mattel and Target just riding it as something that he's doing?
I think they're just riding it as something that, you know, he's the first male pro athlete to do it. I'm sure more will follow. I think it's just a thing. We had the Michael Jackson doll back in the day.
Well, I would share that during my adult time, I saw one other doll. And that was by somebody that was in an untraditional space breaking new ground, MC Hammer.
MC Hammer sure did have a doll.
Hammer had a doll. People hated on him, but now every rapper
wants to do what Hammer did. The Pepsi commercials, the cartoons.
All of that.
All of it.
And so LeBron is our athlete that's doing all of that. The Jackson 5 did it. Hammer did it, like musically and all that kind of stuff. Now LeBron has really... he's elevated above and beyond the sport of basketball and sport to be able to do things like this. So that's what I really, really like about it. Now, what comes next is if I love it or not, you know, and that's, once again, what are you putting on top of it? Because I think that his positioning of the whatever they say, that male masculinity and all that, is he doubling down on that? I don't know. But to be able to put the I Promise out there, he's not doing it for money. We know that.
Right.
But just to be in Target and like in your face and be able to have another platform, I like it.
I mean, I think that it's genius. I think that it is smart on Mattel coming off of the Barbie movie, where I'm not sure if you saw it, but Ken and his character was a big feature in it, and they talked about the flipped roles of women and men and, empowerment for Ken. It was almost Ken's story in the film, right? So I think that it is also a way to keep him connected with the kids, right? This also coincides with the 65th anniversary of the Ken character next year with Mattel. So he's, Barbie's longtime best friend and supporter, right? And I think that the fact that it is a black man, one, as the first, is incredible. I think about all of the Nike, I'm going to say Nike, but all of the marketing pieces that are collaborating for it because, like we mentioned, the I Promise Family Foundation, that shirt, the Nike sneakers. Oh, I forgot. It has Beats headphones and it has a watch. So there's touches, integrated marketing that's involved in it. Very smart, tapping into the culture. And it's dressed current, but still like something LeBron would wear. I just think that all in all, it works, and it still keeps them tapped in to the kids because we have to remember LeBron is a 40-year-old married man.
yeah, with 2 kids, 3 kids.
3 kids,
Yeah.
one in the NBA with him.
There you go.
So, Andy?
Are kids actually going to go buy this doll? I don't believe it.
Probably not kids, no. It'll be collectors and what have you,
yeah.
but... I mean, you never know. A parent might buy it for their kid. I don't know how much dolls are in the mix with young kids anymore.
Well, he's likened to a Spider-Man, Iron Man, all of that kind of stuff. So once again, I really like the move. We'll see if it just becomes a collectible or if it becomes a thing and he's in the movie next year, or maybe Barbie's love interest might be, who knows? But that's the kind of stuff that this provides a possibility for.
Facts.
And that's the beautiful part of it.
Andy?
I think Barbie should collaborate with the NBA, with the Lakers specifically, and for one night, distribute, dolls, kind of like how they do like bobblehead night or whatnot.
Oh, this will be the new version of the bobblehead.
Kind of, sort of, and maybe that'll just generate some, interest as far as, people actually going out to go buy it.
Well, I hear what you're sharing. This would have been definitely more interesting if it aligned with the Barbie movie. So if there's subsequent activation around Barbie.
But they're activating it around Ken in the 65th anniversary of that.
I don't, but yeah, who's Ken? That kind of thing. And who's Ken's best friend? Because I do remember,
Barbie.
So I think that once again, that's where I really start loving it when I see more stuff around it.
All right, so we're going to put a pin in that. And
because I'll just say, LeBron is lifting Ken.
Yeah.
I don't know if Ken's lifting LeBron.
I see what you're saying.
So now what else is it? If LeBron's going to lift Ken, what's the payoff for Ken? And does LeBron become an integral part of this thing called Barbie and Ken, or Ken and Barbie, or whatever they
We'll see. We know that there's a sequel brewing, so
that's
LeBron got to drop down in it, I think. It has to. All right, we finally got confirmation. Ester Dean is the one who wrote the infamous Beyoncé diss on Keri Hilson's Turnin Me On remix. The track that got Keri semi-blackballed by the Beehive. For over a decade, Keri was a great songwriter. She had her own career buzzing, and she put out this song, and then she made the mistake of being interviewed on a red carpet, and someone asked her to sign a magazine with Beyoncé on the cover, and she said, "Oh, I'm not doing that." And it was taken very negatively by the Beehive, and they kind of, rained that fire on her that they do. It was kind of one of the first seasons we saw of Stanism affecting people and, impacting their careers and so forth, right? So this week, Keri appeared on The Breakfast Club, and she said that she was pressured into doing the diss song by her record label. And we're going to get into Keri's story of what she said happened, and then we're going to talk a little industry politics about situations like this that come up in your career. So let's hear what she had to say.
We had another writer in our camp at the time he had her write this. So he played it for me, like, this is the remix, because I'm thinking I'm coming in to go write a remix to Turnin Me On. Like, The whole time I had been writing concepts, like, but I come into the studio and he plays me this verse, and I'm like, automatically, I'm like, I'm not saying that. That was my position. So I tried to fight him on it, and I began writing my own. That's what I did with my time there, but I want to be careful with the word I use. It was quite forceful. You know what I mean?
In an executive artist way?
Yeah, in an executive artist way only. You know, involving others and kind of threatening my career in a sense, in a real sense. Like, you're not coming, because my album wasn't out yet.
So there's a lot there. I mean, one, we know how the industry works. They can give you things, they can take things away. I kind of think about back when the Pussycat Dolls first were decided to be put together as a musical group, because they started off as a burlesque group. And CeeLo Green had an artist named Tori, and she put out a song called Don't Ya. Well, she was subsequently dropped from the label. They took that song from her and gave it to the Pussycat Dolls for their first single. Mind you, Don't Ya from Tori had already been bubbling under on the radio. So Tribe Called Quest said it best. Industry rule number 4080, or is it 10,080? Whatever it is, record company people are shady. And I say that as a former record company person. Not shady, but there's a lot of politics. The fact that at that point in her career with a hit song, Beyonce may not be the Beyonce she is now, but she was still Beyonce at that point. To be pressured to diss her is interesting, because Keri wasn't hip hop. She was R&B. She was singing. So dissing, isn't really necessarily a part of the R&B culture. It's not something that we necessarily take in and think about. Well, when this clip was posted, someone in the comments said it's Ester Dean that wrote the song. And Ester Dean is another songwriter that has written a lot of hits. She had a song out as an artist for a moment. She also was on, I can't remember the name of the show. It was on NBC about songwriters. They had different hosts. Oh, I'm blanking on I went to the set. I can't remember the name of the show, but she was one of the judges on it. Kind of like the Voice thing or something like that. But this competition was specifically for songwriters. And so she said, yep, I did write the song. And she said I would do it again. But later, I guess, after some of the backlash came out, she added that I submitted a lot of verses for that remix. One got picked, and it was co-written with Keri. Looking back, it was childish and didn't age well. I see how it hurt people, especially women, and I take full accountability. I've worked with and supported many women since, but that doesn't erase that moment. I'm sorry for my part in it. Growth is real, and so is the apology. And if you don't remember what Keri said in the song, basically it alluded to Beyonce needing to go home, sit down, and have some babies and blah, 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 blah. In the grand scheme of things, is it terrible? No. But as I said, if it was hip hop and rap, people probably wouldn't have the same reaction to it as they do in R&B, because that, although very competitive, that's not a genre that you generally think about as far as battling back and forth through lyrics and songs and talking mess about someone else who is in the game with you. But what are your thoughts, Damon, on the pressure as a young artist to maybe tap into a style, some lyrics or an image that they may not agree with? Is that just part of the game and part of the game that you have to play? Yes,
It's definitely part of the game that you have to play. And if you in the game,
you got to be in it to win it.
You have to. If you in the game, you got to play. And it's funny. I remember meeting Keri during that time, actually, when she had gotten
all of the
cooled
blowback.
off. Yeah, she had cooled off. It was something in Atlanta we were doing. I can't think about it, but it might have been around. I forgot, but it was in Atlanta. And I was like, wow, she is a shell of the star that she used to be. And that sometimes, and that beehive is vicious. You don't mess with Beyonce for one. And Beyonce been Beyonce for 20 years,
Facts.
So 10 years ago, she was Beyonce. But I do think that a lot of times young people, young in the game, do get pressured to do certain things. And it was a mistake for the executive. It was like the young lady, Ester Dean. I love her apology. It's nothing else you can say. She owned it, all that kind of stuff. But there is collateral damage. And a lot of times it's young people. I've defended young people. I've seen my wife on sets defend young people when producers are trying to push to get that sound bite or that, and Diane's work with Basketball Wives. I've seen it all and see how producers work.
They definitely.
They be working.
Yeah.
And executives, when it comes to that form of entertainment, when you can say what you think through somebody else.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe.
And still keep going, that's tough.
I mean, it's a hard thing. Like I said, I worked at a couple of labels on several projects, and I will say, especially as a female artist, those choices can be really difficult, especially when you look at what is going on the broader sense of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
It is much harder, I think, especially currently, to stand out individually because there is a formula, there is a pace and a blueprint that they're trying to follow, especially now as record labels don't really exist anymore. Most of them are run by hedge funds and venture capitalists and things of that nature. So it's a different thing. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Michelle Obama is denying divorce rumors, saying people mistook her independent choices as marriage trouble. She and Barack have both acknowledged challenges but remain committed after 32 years together. Wall Street is closing with stocks sharply higher after President Trump announced a 90-day pause on some tariffs. Stocks rose immediately after Trump unveiled the news on Truth Social. This caused the Dow Jones Industrial Average to have its biggest rally in 5 years. Virginia Beach schools in Virginia voted 6-3 to suspend DEI programs to comply with a Trump administration order linking federal funding to the removal of such initiatives. Superintendent Don Robertson expressed concern, saying the mandate puts his job at risk. And Gertrude Teresa Hodges, the first black graduate of the Johns Hopkins School of Nursing, passed away on March 28th at her home in East Baltimore. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Tough moving through South Pasadena. A wreck is wrapping up 110 northbound at Fair Oaks, out of lanes. Delays from Orange Grove. West Covina, a crash on the 10 westbound before Grand in the carpool and left lane involving a motorcyclist. Delays loading up away from Holt Avenue. And Anaheim Hills, 91 eastbound before Gypsum Canyon. It's a 4-car wreck in the second lane from the left. Delays out of Anaheim getting away from Kramer Glacel. Ontario, a stall on the 60 westbound before Vineyard, blocking middle lanes. Delays from Archibald.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Masters, the most prestigious event in golf, teed off today in Augusta, Georgia. If you're planning to watch the Masters on TV, let me drop some history on you. On this day 50 years ago, April 9th, 1975, Lee Elder became the Jackie Robinson of golf. Elder was the first African-American to play in the Masters, breaking a color barrier that stood for 41 years. Elder was 41 at the time when he made history. He failed to make the cut in the 1975 Masters, but his appearance helped open the door on the PGA Tour for other black golfers, including a guy named Tiger Woods. Woods is not competing in this year's Masters after undergoing Achilles tendon surgery in March. When Woods turned pro in 1996, he often showed respect for Elder and made appearances with him. Elder was on the PGA Tour for 37 years and had career earnings of $2.6 million. He passed away in 2021 at the age of 87. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
At Exquisite Family Mortuary, we know how overwhelming it can be planning a meaningful farewell for your loved one. Secure your peace of mind by calling Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. From traditional funeral services to memorials to direct cremation, pre-needs, and more. Call Charlotte White at Exquisite Family Mortuary for Southern hospitality in Southern California. That's Charlotte White at 323-577-5562. Exquisite Family Mortuary is located nearby in Inglewood, California. Exquisite Family Mortuary, where your loved one becomes our loved one.
This is Stevie Wonder, calling on Los Angeles property owners to help get unhoused veterans off the street. If you're a property owner or know someone who is, consider accepting veteran housing vouchers. You will receive guaranteed rent while providing a stable and safe home. Help end veteran homelessness and make a real difference in people's lives.
Learn more by emailing houseourvets@lacity.org.
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
It's me, Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. I see those dry elbows, baby. But don't worry, get moisturized right in the shower. So hydrated you can skip the lotion after.
Don't wanna see it dry no more. Skin so moisturized with body wash.
Look at you now, no more dry skin. Your skin gets the moisture it craves with
Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I made a profile on Tinder, since you left me to be with her. I think that means I'm getting desperate. Wish I could return the sender, but you don't love me no more. And I don't even know what for. No, it was real when you blocked me.
Welcome back in. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Better listen to Jasmine Sullivan sing. Happy birthday, Jasmine Sullivan. Shout out to her. The voice. Gotta let it fade a little bit. Andy?
Is she a throwback to you?
What do you mean? As far as her talent and her style and stuff?
Everything.
You know, in a way, but what was the last album, Talk Show, or what was it called? I really like, and she had the single with Ari Lennox. Sit on It and some other stuff on there.
H-Tails.
H-Tails, yes. I thought that was a very modern album, her take on it, the way she utilized the monologue, so to speak, about the various women and then went into the songs, so that I feel the way that her pen game is very modern. However, she has elements of old school. And I think that is because she is someone that is a student of the game. I feel like she respects the greats. She understands not only what it takes to be a great songwriter, but a legacy songwriter where the hits, you want to listen to it 20 years from now. Some of this stuff like that I might bop to, I don't know if now a 14-year-old, because, they say the music you listen to between 14 and 16, maybe 17, it sets your tone musically for the rest of your life. So if you think back to what you were feeling and the things that motivate you, the music that you will be into currently or in your, more advanced state is going to have some remnants or remind you in some ways, or your favorites are going to be from that era. Jasmine seems like somebody who, when she was 14 was listening to Aretha, Patti, the greats. And she has that big, beautiful voice. So shout out to her. I appreciate what she brings to the table. All right. Your guy Van Lathan, he's not here for former Vice President Kamala Harris's victory lap energy. After Kamala made a comment essentially saying, I told y'all about the current political chaos. Van was on CNN in a conversation, and he feels a little frustration in the way that Kamala addressed the situation. Her quip was very light, it wasn't in detail or, attitudinal. She just kind of laughed it off and kept her statement going. But Van sees something else, and he's relating it to his feeling of the Democratic Party.
I will say this, though. They're about to be mad at me. I don't like this.
Like what?
I don't like the I told you so stuff, man. I don't like it.
It's true.
It's true. It's definitely true. All of it was predicted. We need to listen to black women. We need to prioritize black women in leadership, all of that. But when people are struggling and when people are confused, I do not think it strikes the right chord to be like, I told you so. And
I agree with that.
I just don't think that it does. And I think that coming from the left right now, the leadership needs to be stronger about what their messaging is. Not about, I told you so, but I tell you how you're going to be better.
And also, perhaps acknowledging that a failure to get what was motivating voters is also underlying the loss. So maybe she was right about Trump, but not putting on the table something that voters actually wanted to vote for.
So, it's interesting. I understand maybe feeling like it feels like you're rubbing it in people's face when they are suffering, but I didn't see her commentary as such. And I also don't think that it is necessarily her role at this time to dictate the rollout of the left. She is currently not in politics, technically. She did her big one and she did what she could. And the torch is passed. Somebody else has to pick it up and run. You guys aren't looking at her running again in the next election. So what are we saying? She's giving her thoughts on what is currently happening now. She is effectively a civilian, much like us, I think. I, again, understand his situation that he's setting up. But I also think that we did the we fly high when they go low thing. Shout out to Michelle Obama for a very long time. And it's not working for us anymore. Sometimes, like Mike Tyson said, you got to get punched in the mouth to figure out what you're going to do. Andy?
I'm a little bit disappointed in Van Lathan's stance, considering, a lot of, his, stances. I thought he probably would have agreed, lean a little bit towards, Kamala's standpoint. He's very much so pro-black. I don't know. I feel like he's backtracking a little bit. He's stepping away from his brand in a lot of ways by not being in support of those comments. I'm a little bit confused in his regard.
Interesting. DH, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, he didn't say she was wrong. She didn't say he was wrong. And he's just sharing that she should have addressed some other issues, maybe more positive a scenario, or what are we going to do now? But she could have said that in a later bite, too. So I think that I agree with Andy. You didn't have to really meet it head on and disagree. You could have said, okay, but now what? And so I tend to think that, too. I mean, I tend to think exactly how Kamala feels. Dang, y'all didn't see this coming?
They told you. It was laid out. It was, that first 100 days, they did what they said they were going to do in that Project 25. Mm-hmm. You guys didn't think fat meat was greasy. Isn't that the old saying? Yeah.
So, but like I said, I think, all of us are dealing with it. I always tell people, if you got a blue passport, that's your president, period. I got a blue passport. That's my president. So now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with whatever he's saying, because I can't do anything else.
Man.
I got a green passport too, but I ain't using that one.
Yeah, during the election, I'm curious to know whether he was in support of Kamala.
I believe.
He?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He was. So, things happen.
I think what you share is right. She's not in politics, so she has an opinion. She could just say, hey, and she knows better than most. I told y'all knew, so now what? So she's a loser, right? She lost, so she gets to have a little
sour grapes.
Yeah, we can have that. That's a big loss right there,
right?
So you get to have some sour grapes, and in the spirit of sour grapes, she was nice.
She was.
She was nice.
She was.
She was laughable. She was just kind of jokey, which I thought.
Does he deserve that? He doesn't deserve that, Grace. So
he doesn't. The way he came at her, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. I thought Van was a little bit, CNN-ish, and trying to create storyline.
Well, we're going to leave it at that. When we come forward, we're going to get into Floyd Mayweather and that $402 million real estate deal in New York, prime real estate. Might be capped. We'll get into the details of that when we come forward.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-511-2112. That's 800-511-2112. 800-511-2112.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So in the chat, Fahima Sek wanted to let us know that she's not sure about Terrence Howard's math, but he has applied for filed 94 patents, and out of that, 60 have been granted. More than 84% of his patents are now active. So, the genius claims might really be there. I don't know what the patents are for. We'll have to see if anything materializes.
I will say this. I spent a weekend with Terrence Howard years ago on an HBO project. The man is smart. He's smart. And so for him to think, and he's a mathematician, it's a given. But I don't know about if 1 × 1 = 2. I've heard that argument. Not that it really matters much, because it's just like A has certain sounds and we all believe in it. If 1 × 1 = 1 and everybody believes it, it ain't going away, But he's a smart dude and accomplished. Now I have to go and look at all these patents he did, But
I'm curious to see what they are.
Yeah, because I can have a patent. All
Right.
it has to do is be approved. It can sit there and do nothing. So, to have a patent don't mean you generate money.
I want to encourage
Doesn't mean
folks
they're
to not
useful.
make fun of him.
Okay. Well, he said, here's the thing. He said he would do, you guys. Like, I'm joking about it, but what is refreshing about it is that he is encouraging math, right? An area that, as, Black people overall, maybe especially Black men, you don't see the, Savior is Terrence the cool guy, but you don't see the cool guy also being a scholar in that area or, seeing that side of them. Mm-hmm. So from that perspective, it is impressive. Maybe it's the areas that he's choosing to go and talk about these situations with. Maybe he needs to go to a scientist and have these conversations, or a more serious platform, because, that could be some of the perception as well.
Well, he does visit a lot of colleges, and he does talk to people engineers and scientists who understand. We just don't see that.
Right.
Yeah, we just don't see that,
I want to say he sat down with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
He did. He did. But I'm saying, like, maybe don't go into the weeds if you're going on. I'm not saying he did Noah's podcast, but if you're going on Drink Champs, you can mention it, but maybe don't overly explain it, because they're not going to get it, and it's going to turn into a memeable moment.
Yeah.
Andy?
I agree with you.
I didn't say not discuss it at all.
Okay.
I said not go deep into detail, because what he does,
fair.
Listen, he could do what he wants,
We
right?
need exposure is what I'm saying.
We do need exposure, but I feel that, here's the thing. If you were sitting across someone that can't flip from the educational aspect of it to the funny of it, you're going to get one or the other, and it may not impact the audience in the way that you feel. That's all I'm saying, because here's the real question, right? When you hear about the Terrence Howard stuff, and I'm guilty of it because I laughed at it too, which conversation do you hear more in social media? Meaning, do you hear people advocating for taking him seriously? You do not. And so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't talk about it, but you're going over their heads. You're going to lose them. Yeah. One of the most important things in speaking about a subject or educating someone, talking to them, is to not talk too much above them if you want to keep them in tune with you.
I agree with you 100%. But you know what, though? I'm going to hold the consumers responsible.
They're looking at Terrence Howard, actor. They don't care about Terrence Howard. And here's why. He hasn't done anything in that. I'm not saying he hasn't done anything. Let me get it all out. But he hasn't done anything to impact the average person that is interested in Terrence Howard, the actor, to pay attention to Terrence Howard, the math genius. It's like, oh, that's cool, but I can't do anything with that. Lucius Lyon wasn't a math genius. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Whoop that trick. We wasn't talking about the math.
I just want to encourage our folks to, even if it does go over your head, this is a black man speaking about some interesting things that could, lead us to the future.
Right, but but is he and this is why I say it's important to know your audience. Is he talking about why this is important to the average person in language that they can relate to? Because if you're talking about an elevated topic and I don't understand the language that you're using, the vocabulary that you're presenting, and I'm just hearing it, yeah, it's cool. I may absorb it, or I may start daydreaming or bypass it. It just depends. I'm not saying you can't introduce it, but you got to be aware of your audience too. Damon, you've provided a lot of insight, so yeah.
Oh, no, I think like what I shared, I heard that. I'm going to look at the patents now. But some people don't even, if you just want Terrence Howard, the actor, you might not even know what a patent is. You might not understand what it is. So I agree that when he's on a media vertical that makes him an actor, it's tough to be a mathematician. We know that's not the sexy piece. But I know this guy goes to MIT. He goes and talks to real students in math and holds his own. That I know for certain. And those kids aren't looking for him to be an actor when he shows up like a mathematician.
Shout out to the LA native, by the way, because Terrence Howard is.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
High school. He go to Wash House?
He did not go to Washington. I forget what's. Oh my God. We talked about this during the Shirley Chisholm interview thing because Regina is obviously from LA, and one of the questions actually Jasmine Simpkins. Shout out to Jasmine at KTLA, and she works with Kevin. I'm forgetting Kevin's last name right now. Kevin Frazier. Okay. She asked because, Jasmine went to Westchester too. Just putting all the business out there. What did they learn about Shirley Chisholm being in LA Unified? Oh. And Terrence was left out of the question. She just was talking to Renia and Regina initially, and Terrence was like, "Wait, I'm LA Unified too. I can't remember what high school he went to.
We go Google him."
But yeah, so shout out to him. All right, let's get into this Floyd Mayweather deal really quickly. So a couple weeks back, I talked about it here on the show. Floyd Mayweather said he dropped $402 million on 62 Manhattan rental buildings. But Business Insider went and did the research. They did their Googles, and they said they couldn't find any receipts that this is true. There were no deed transfers, no public records, nothing. They made some phone calls to owners, and they could not find any information regarding this transaction. Floyd has gone on interviews and discussed it. Of course, 50 Cent dropped in with his troll thing and put the interview up and the information about it and said he bought them in his imagination. Same place he read all those Harry Potter books, because 50 gone 50. My question is, does Floyd was he swindled in some sort of business deal? Was this just because Floyd flexes all the time, but I don't feel like he would fabricate a flex as such, because for what? But it is interesting. Maybe the deal hasn't gone through yet, but I don't know. It's a lot happening out there.
Well, I do know he's been doing a number of real estate investments with developers and things like that. Not the affordable housing scenario, but more luxury homes and developers that are doing some interesting things. So, and he's new to real estate.
Okay.
So he may have committed the dollars. May have done a verbal deal. It might be in the works, escrow, et cetera, and not finalized. And maybe with his excitement of just making that could have been, and I'm hoping that's what happened. Because $400 million. One, when he said he did it, he might have been part of an investment group. He could have been a majority share, minority share.
He presented it as if
once again
it was just him.
Once again, I would say that I don't know his net worth, but to put all of that up, $400 million is a lot to do
as an individual.
Unless it's asset backed or whatever. And then, even if we were to buy a house, we probably can only do a quarter of our,
and finance the rest. Absolutely.
All that kind of stuff. So I don't know why he would go in and do it solely, that he wouldn't do it through an LLC with partners and things like that. Now, he might have been his idea and wanting to do it, but it's no way, even if I had the money to do it, would I do it all alone? It doesn't make financial sense.
It doesn't.
So, but I think maybe the deal is in play. It might be an escrow. It might be still some stuff. And he just said, hey, deal's done. I've signed already, but it's not mine. I mean, I was part of a deal, a real estate deal that I thought was mine, but it did not close. And that's when I realized, damn, but I was saying that's my building right there.
Well, that's how we do it here in All Up in the Business Wednesdays, where we mix strategy with the streets and headlines with the heat. Damon Haley, make sure that you guys lock in with him. Damon Haley everywhere on social media.
Damon Haley everywhere on social media and on the website. Holla.
Glow and Flow Beauty, Inglewood and Hawthorne, Slay Hair. Get all up in it.
Slay with that 125% tariff with it.
Listen, I'm Jill Munroe, and this has been your front row seat to the culture. Make sure you catch me tomorrow, same time, same place, same size, same facts, with the flawless delivery. Up next is the voice of reason, Zoe Williams. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.
Something different, still don't know what I was missing. What you asked, I would've given. It ain't right now, these things be winning, yeah, they be winning.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Black Rep Jasmine Crockett is criticizing President Trump on X, slamming him as, quote,